It's Hoge Jahns.
You know, there was a time this offseason, Adam Johns, that I thought we should retire the Open that we play a lot on this. We have some rotating Opens. Our producer, Kent, does a great job. But we have one that we've been playing for a few years, which is basically just like how this team always manages to do this. And I was like, nah, you know what? It's a new era. I think, it might be time to, give these guys a – these guys are new. It's not their fault that the past – and then here we are, week 2. Wow, there's major concern about the quarterback. Can't figure out who to blame, whether it's the OC, the quarterback, the head – it's just like the endless cycle just keeps going and going and going. How are you, Adam Johnson?
I'm doing great. I'm actually in a great mood.
Yeah.
As you can see, I did not go to Tampa.
You've had a nice little Sunday.
I've had a great little Sunday.
Unlike the rest of us.
It was my son's homecoming game back here in Chicago. Big one for him. So I stayed back, watched him score a touchdown on the game opening drive. So I was pumped by that. Nice play action pass. Some touch in the end zone. Over the shoulder grab touchdown. Very pumped for my son. So it's been a good day in the Johns household, but not for other households in the Chicagoland. So this is how I was tracking the game early on.
Hey, real quick, though, I just want to point out, love hearing that. It's a good perspective on what's important in life. James Hoge got the offensive trophy today from his game. They lost, but he got the offensive trophy. I think they got a first down. It's the kind of awards the Bears are giving out, too, it sounds like. So, yeah, no, that's just – sorry to interrupt you. I just want a good perspective on things that matter. Nice hat, by the way, the new Hoge Jahns hat available on HoganJahns.com. So
this is how I track the game early on. As I'm watching my son, he scored, he played well, their whole team played well, good homecoming win, is the amount of people that were coming up to me during the game, texting me during the game, like, oh, my gosh, this is bad. Oh, we're bad again. Why can't the quarterback get rid of the ball? One of our coaches on the sideline reading off Justin Fields' stat line at halftime. I'm like, oh, man, I feel bad for Kevin Fishbane.
Yeah.
But here we go again. I got something special coming up this week. If you're an Athletic subscriber, it'll be out maybe Monday night or Tuesday. Some type of different film thing coming up just to tease it a bit. But, wow, 6 sacks, holding the ball too long, an opportunity to actually go win the game in the final 2 minutes, and a pick 6 on a screen pass. Adam Hoge, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I'll try to tell you as best as we can without, bringing up too many scars for our audience here that has already had to witness this game today. Look, Corey Wooten tweeted it in the middle of the game. I agree. A lot of these sacks they were on Justin. Yes, there was one that Braxton Jones gave up that was definitely just a clear
I saw
whiff.
That one. That was
can't happen. So they weren't all on Justin. But, and Darnell Wright, I think, definitely gave up pressure early. That was on him. But, dude, you're holding on to the ball way too long. I don't know how to – we're trying to talk about it on the CHGO postgame show, too. Something just did not – it just doesn't look right. This is not how it's supposed to look, Johns. It's just there was one he took where he just sort of instead of scrambling in the past, he just sort of folded into a ball almost at the line of scrimmage and just got sacked. And that's where I'm starting to wonder if the coaching – we're at the point where the coaching and the development, it's just kind of hit a wall to where the things that he used to do so well on his own, just with instincts, have almost been coached out of him at this point. And now it seems like a very crucial time here with Justin Fields. And I almost feel like next week they just got to let him loose. Just let the kid play. Just let him do what we know. Because everything, the drop back, the delivery, the decision making, he's operating at a speed that is not NFL speed. It's just not the NFL speed. It can't be that methodical. It just can't happen.
I think he wants to prove that he can do it, that he's not this running quarterback, that he's not a running back, because we've heard those insults. Have we not?
Yeah.
We've heard that criticism. He wants to prove.
He's heard it too.
Yeah, oh yes, he's acknowledged it. He wants to prove that he can play within the pocket. And I don't know. I get what you're saying about the coaching. Like, I do. They're coaching the instincts, the elite playmaking ability, the special playmaking ability out of him, but it's tough. Part of that's still him, though, right? Like,
yeah.
I saw some of those sacks. I did catch up on the game a little bit. I mean, that's like 4, 5, 6 seconds standing back there where you don't even have to step up. Like, scramble to your left a little bit, buy yourself time, step up two steps and put the ball down the field. Like, why is he just not releasing the ball? Even when, like, he looks on time with his reads, like we went over with Tim in our last episode, like, throw the ball. Like, just let it loose. Trust your guy to be there. So I think they're kind of intertwined here.
Well, and that's why, I can't wait to see the All-22 film because I don't know from watching the TV copy if guys were open or not. But it's almost like last week I'm sure they showed him in the meetings, right? Like, yeah, you scrambled here, you picked up 7-8 yards, but you had a guy wide open. You got to throw that. And so I wonder if today he was almost, and not gun shy, but like run shy. Like he was afraid to run because he was just trying to be so intent on finding that open guy. And now all of a sudden you're like you just said, you're at 5 seconds, dude. You can't. Ball's got to be out. And that's the thing. It's got to be ball out or go after a certain time. And it's worrisome, man. I don't know. We asked a question, like, and we're not the only ones, but we talked about this on CHGO. Like, are you out on Justin Fields yet? And there's many different ways you can look at that and more excuses you could throw in there. You could say, oh, it's only 2 weeks, right? But we're also in year 3. So, yes, it's only 2 weeks of the season, but it's week 2 of year 3. So these are the types of conversations that they have to be having this season inside House Hall, too. I'm not quite there, but it's concerning, right? Like, you got to at least acknowledge that. This is not where you want to be after 2 weeks this season. And quite frankly, not where I thought they'd be. 0-2 maybe. Like I could have envisioned some world where they were 0-2, but not it looking like this.
Not this bad. Everything we just said, like, kind of reminded everything you just said, I should say, kind of reminded me what Andrew Janocko said at the end of the year. Like when you see him open, this was like Jay Cutler. Like, he was a see the guy open, fire it in there type of guy. That's how he played quarterback. Yeah, some anticipation throws were made by Jay Cutler, but that's who he was. I think Justin might be the same way. Fields might be the same way, just in terms of, like, he's got to see the guy come open instead of, anticipating it to come open. Like, so what Janocko said in the middle of last season is, like, once you see him open, he's not, because that's closing. It's closing. Like, yeah, I'm just thinking of that right now, just in terms of his development as a passer. Something the Bears have placed at, like, the highest priority. Even Justin Fields, developing as a passer, just not seeing it. Just not seeing it. Even with DJ Moore, even with Chase Claypool, even with Darnell Mooney all on the field with him, it's just not coming to fruition just yet.
So another thing you're going to see, especially when you go, yeah, especially when you go through the film. Well, let me put it this way. You're going to scratch your head at the game plan. These can be two separate conversations. I mean, there's definitely on the Venn diagram, they overlap somewhere, and I don't think they're helping Justin. But I'm just really confused at the offensive approach still. There seems to be hardly any outside zone, which was like, wait a minute, that was the whole point of the scheme, I thought. And yet the running backs ran the ball well today. And there was no commitment to the run, really, at any point. There seemed to be a commitment to, all right, let's see what you got, Justin. Like, it's almost as if they're, like, trying to test him as much as possible right now, but it's putting him in it's not helping him. Honestly, Johns, when you go back and watch the full game, like, kind of in a sequence, it is There's just no rhythm on offense. There doesn't seem to be much of a plan. It looked easy on the first drive, but that's because they hit a couple shots downfield. But that's another thing. Like, so they targeted DJ Moore a little bit more today, but still not enough in my opinion. And I just don't understand. Like, there's no relationship with the run and pass right now. And there's way too many screens. I get that a few of them worked. You're going to see some of the screens that did work today. There was a nice tight end screen to Cole Kmet. There was one late to Khalil Herbert. But right there at the end of the game, Chase Claypool gets called for a penalty, OPI, which is really just a blocking penalty because he's blocking too soon. The timing's off on it. Guess what? It's a screen. And then the pick six at the end is just an inexcusable screen to me in that situation where you're backed up literally feet in your own end zone. And guess what? Just like we saw last week with the Packers, Johns, the Bucs sniffed it out. They know it's coming. They see it. They're seeing it in a situation where you shouldn't even be calling a screen, which means that it's a tell from your offensive line or it's a tell from your quarterback. It's a tell from the players on the field. They're giving it away. And so once again, you're asking players to run stuff that they're not great at running, which is probably why Claypool got the OPI on the screen anyway. Why is EQ not active? Why is he not on the field in these situations where you're asking players to do things that they're not good at? Go back and watch Justin Fields' touchdown run at the beginning of the game. Look at number 10 on that play. There's effort, but it's still a terrible block.
Is that
he
the
doesn't
one where
make the block.
He fell down, like in the middle of the line of scrimmage?
Yes. Yeah. And it wasn't effort. It wasn't an effort problem. The effort was there, but it was just still bad technique. It was the same things that Flus was talking about all week. And at some point, it's like, I'm not even sitting here blaming Claypool anymore. You're blaming the coaches for putting that guy in this situation over and over again.
So if you're Luke Getsy, do you feel more limited by your quarterback, or do you feel more limited by your offensive line makeup at this moment?
Well,
like, how much is this influencing what he's doing? Because that offensive line that we thought would be better is obviously not.
Well,
just
true,
not.
but I think it's more the quarterback today, though, because there's so many quarterback sacks.
And I'm one that thinks, again, like as a statistic, sacks belong to quarterbacks. I know offensive lines, a percentage goes to them, but no one has more influence on what happens on a sack than a quarterback.
But that's why I'm confused. So look, regardless of who the lack of trust is in, there's a lack of trust. Like, it's a great point you just bring up. There's a lack of trust. But I don't understand why there's a lack of trust in running the ball, because that is something you said before the season. I agreed with you. We thought this team could run the ball. And so far, they've run the ball. They were running the ball today. So instead of, like, going back to screen after screen after screen because you don't trust the protection, why not lean on your running game? And again, there was almost no outside zone last week. I didn't see a lot of it today. And so it's the whole approach I'm confused by. If you don't trust the cornerback or the protection, why are you not running the ball and then trying to get play action and things like that? That's what I don't know. I have no explanation there.
Khalil Herbert, 7 carries for 35 yards. Roshan Johnson, 4 carries for 32. Long of 29. Good run. Bayless Jones Jr., 1 for -3. Justin Fields, 4 for 3. 11 carries by your running backs for a team that wants to have that physical run-first identity.
They had 4 at halftime, by the way.
I think you're bringing up, it's even furthers your point here. Yeah. That's Luke Getsy.
You can't really blame it on them being, like, down late in the game. They actually ran the ball more in the second half than the first half, but still, it wasn't enough in either half.
Are you getting, like, this weird feeling, like the Bears have said so many good things about Justin, and I truly believe, I believe that they like him. They see promise. They see potential. They want development as a passer. They're on the record saying that. That's Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy, and Ryan Poles. He's got elite skills as a runner. Justin Fields does. But, like, I'm just stuck on this. Well, now. It's like just popping in my head just because this is who the Bears are. They still didn't draft them, right? Like,
yeah.
The 3 most important football people in your building, the head coach, the GM, the quarterback. Like, isn't there that here we go again vibe coming back a little bit here? Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? Like
Yes.
like
we're reliving 2019. We're reliving 2014. It's
like it's back there. Like, how should I articulate this? It's like in the back of your mind, right? Like, they didn't draft Justin Fields. Like, regardless of all the good things they have said about him, that's still not their guy.
yeah. It's a valid point. Here's what I feel, Johns. There seems to be this effort to what you said. Like, they want to see him develop as a passer. This game plan the first 2 weeks to me is like, well, let's find out as fast as we can what he can do. And that just seems reckless to me. Like, that's not.
Let's take our lumps and learn from him.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
In a 17-game season?
Let's take away all the things that usually help him. The outside zone running game, play action, his own running ability, just to see if he can actually read the field. And so far, the answer is a resounding no, he can't. But I don't see how that's fair to him when you take away all the, maybe they're crutches, maybe. But I'm at a loss of answers here. And I see Kevin Fishbane trolling us in the comments too, so that's always fun.
Enjoy Charlie's tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, where are you going tonight, Kevin? Yeah, Kevin had a Fishbane. Kevin had a Fishbane.
Fishbane.
He had a comment here. Got here late. Did you guys talk about Cairo Santos' 52-yard field goal, or are you only focusing on the negatives? Typical Chicago media. Shake my head.
Well, there was a block punt, too, by the Bears, wasn't there?
Block field goal.
Block field goal.
Yeah.
Great day for the special teams.
Special teams was fine. 52-yard field goal. You know, can't carry the whole team here. Cairo's trying. I actually was a little annoyed with the block field goal that they let the holder recover the ball instead of getting a scoop and store. It was a nice play by the holder, but come on, get to the ball, man. They had a couple of missed opportunities early. Jaquan Brisker, I thought if he makes that interception, had a chance for a pick six. And anytime you have a block field goal that goes straight backwards, that's an opportunity to just scoop and score. So close on both of those plays. You just imagine how this game could have gone differently if your defense picks you up like that. Your special teams picks you up. Anytime your defense or special teams adds an actual touchdown to the board, that could have gotten the Bears off to a really hot start, and unfortunately,
instead you have Baker Mayfield going 26 for 34, 317, one touchdown, 114.5 passer rating, and scrambling for 17 yards and first downs. That is 14 more yards than Justin Fields had with his legs.
Yep. No, it made me. Baker made me look bad today.
Like if you would have told me before the game that Baker Mayfield would run for more yards than Justin Fields, I'm like, oh, that's definitely a Bears loss.
Yeah.
I don't even have to watch it. They lost for sure.
It's amazing he only had 3 yards when he actually ran for a touchdown in the game. Justin, like he ran for a touchdown, and not like a quarterback sneak touchdown like Jalen Hurts keeps getting. It was an actual play. Where they ran him to the outside, and he finishes the game with 3 rushing yards. I'm sorry, man. They got to get back to what works. They're just not doing it right now. They got no chance in Kansas City next week trying to run this
0-3.
offense.
Statistically, we know what this means. Like the chances of making the playoffs are already like for 0-2 teams. They're not good. 0-3. They're even worse. You know how this goes. There again comes the here we go again feel.
At least the whole NFC North lost this weekend.
That helps.
Yeah. Chris Jones. Trying to imagine what Chris Jones might do to Justin Fields next week in that interior offensive line. It's a scary thought right now. Not what you want to be thinking about on Sunday night. All right. I'm trying to think of what else we need to get here. Defense. So, and here's a question from Solid Angle. If this continues, is Flus on the hot seat?
How many? So we're talking about like 20, 2014 Mark Trestman vibes.
Yeah.
Like, do you have those types of vibes? But that was a weird season with a lot of like negative energy. They were coming off a rather successful 2013. Like, there was a lot of promise and potential. Or
Well,
at
one
least
thing,
so they thought.
But one thing I thought was more obvious just from the jump with Trestman, that we kind of knew right away, even going into that first season in 13. We kind of knew that defense wasn't buying into whatever his fly. He didn't have the hits principle, but like we knew guys like Lance Briggs and company. They no matter who was replacing Lovey, they weren't going to get the buy-in from those bats, especially after the way Urlacher was just sort of cast aside, which was on the GM. So I don't think that it sure seemed like 9 days ago everybody was bought into this hits principle, right? But the problem, this is why I think every scenario is sort of on the table right now, Johns. The problem with having a principle like that you lean on that hard, especially in the NFL, where these are professional athletes, like when it doesn't work or when there's cracks in the foundation of your principle, and I don't know how else you call it crack other than week one they're already having a meeting with the player and the GM. I don't know if you saw this because did you see what Brian Pohl said on the ESPN 1000 this morning?
Go ahead.
I mean, he basically put it out there, paraphrasing now, I think Chase Claypool has all the motivation in the world, but he's got to make those changes. Said they met with him, and if he doesn't, then we're going to have to think about what's next. I mean, it was pretty obvious that Claypool was given one more chance today, and I think it was better, and he caught a touchdown. But to have that going on when your hits principle is everything that your foundation is, and it's week one, that's what's okay, man. I don't know. Like, you start to worry about those cracks in the foundation all of a sudden expanding. Nothing can fill those cracks faster than winning a football game. Johns, these guys lost 12 games in a row. 12 in the NFL.
It's pretty brutal. Back to Claypool. It's not surprising, like given his history, like the way he left Pittsburgh. I think it was Josina Anderson who reported that he had become a distraction, and obviously, like he wore out his welcome there, to use that cliche. That's why they traded him, right? That's why he was out. I think the surprising part, Adam, is that it happened in week one.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, week two would have been more understandable. Week one, all right.
Like a quarter into the season, hey, Chase, we don't like what we've seen on the tape, man. You got to get this in gear. Maybe you're on a mini bye. You got a little extra time for meet. No, they're meeting with this guy Sunday after the first game.
Yeah. Like, what the heck is going on? Type stuff. And there might be more there, for all we know. Like, yeah. There are some, like, different vibes to this. Like, is this really going to go off the rails? Because this feels bad really early, right? Does it not?
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot more going on with this team.
So here's how I feel on, Sunday evening, September 17th. One, I can't believe we're already in this position where we're talking about things like this. Like, see
this
that.
dire of a conversation?
Like, I know I was optimistic with my season prediction, but I also said over and over again, I could see a range from like 7 to 10 wins, right? Like, I thought that's the window. So here's the thing. Like, on one side of the coin, I could still see them getting there. Like, they turned things around offensively in the middle of last season. Like, is there a scenario where they get back to doing what Justin's good at? They flip a switch. This upcoming schedule after they play the Chiefs next week is not terrible. They got the Broncos. They got the Washington Commanders. The Raiders got killed today by the Bills. They're coming up. The Vikings are 0-2. Like, there's winnable games coming up here. The problem is all those games are also very losable if they keep playing the way they're playing.
You and I have covered enough winnable ball games by this team that have become very losable fast.
Oh yeah. So
like instantly.
Could I see them flipping things here and getting back to like, oh, you ended the season like the Lions did last year and you almost made the playoffs. You were in the mix in December. Sure. But I could also see them 0-6. The whole city's calling for Tyson Bagent. And you might actually have to take a peek at that before the season's over. Like, that's on the table too. Like, that's just crazy to me that I don't think that's an overreach to say that right now. Like, both scenarios are completely on the table. And I understand Flus is going to sit there as the head coach and talk about post-game today. I saw improvement from week 1. Yeah, you better have seen improvement because you could have lost to any team in the league last week by a lot. So it better have been better. That doesn't mean it was good enough.
They're losing to to teams like the Buccaneers are 2-0, right? Middle of the pack at best. Green Bay Packers blown out by the Packers. Lower than the middle of the pack at best.
Can you repeat that? Actually, my headphones just went out, so I need you to ask me that question
You
again.
need me to repeat it. I got you.
No.
Like, you lose to the Buccaneers. I get they're 2-0, but they're what, middle of the pack at best?
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think the Bucs are still. I know they're 2-0.
You get blown out by the Packers,
great.
and I would project them still worse than that, less than middle of the pack. That's a problem, Adam. It's like a full roster construction problem, and I get that the quarterback gets the most heat, and a lot of it is unfair. It's the nature of the business, but eventually you hope he could be the what would Foxy say? It's always a bad thing when we're quoting that guy. Man, what did he do to us? Raiser of boats. Isn't that one that he used to do? Say, is that him?
Oh, tides raise all ships, or
Something like that,
right?
When you need your quarterback to be that guy,
raise all. Or
is that even a saying?
I don't know
right now.
I think they also leave them stuck on shore sometimes too. If you bring them too far, then the tide goes out. There's that too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all a problem again, huh? And I'm telling you, like the worst thing about all this, and I know we're running out of here. It's that feeling of here we go again, because the GM, the coach, and the quarterback started with not them aligned. It's like Nagy inheriting Trubisky, not aligned, did not play out well.
Right.
Right? It's Fox inheriting Cutler. Eventually had to kick him out the door.
Which is why, like, I don't think any of this is an overreaction right now. You got to figure.
Rising tide lifts all boats. Thank you, Levi, in the comments.
Yes. And again, the other tide makes all the ships get stuck on shore.
The tsunami washes everything out and then crashes hard.
But to your point, like, you can accuse us of getting ahead of ourselves, but like, this is the cycle we know in Chicago, right? So it doesn't work out with
Hoge,
Fields.
it's the only cycle I know. It's the only cycle I've covered with this team.
So here's the cycle we know that I hope Kevin Warren hasn't been here, but I hope he knows the history here, because what happens is Fields doesn't work out. But, okay, Flus and Poles, they didn't have their guy, so now they get their chance. So now they get their chance, right? But all the warning signs we saw with his coaching staff this year, well, they still exist next year with the rookie quarterback. And you're trying to win with a rookie quarterback when you really can't. So, all right, now I need a new coaching staff. So now the quarterback is on his second. So year 2 of the quarterback, now he's got a new offense to learn. And then rinse and repeat. Now it's not good enough, so now the GM, like, This
is what the Bears do.
They're never aligned.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's all we know. It's seriously, it's all we know.
Year 9 of this podcast.
But we've
Year
covered
13,
you and I have both covered this team since Lovie Smith.
Yeah.
And like, you get that. I've covered this team long enough where you get that vibe, like, oh, this could be could be bad. Like there could be some wins. There'll be a stretch in the season where things are positive and you're beating beat up teams. Teams with backup quarterbacks, and there'll be things to feel good about. Some young players should develop. You hope they develop, but until Justin Fields plays like you and I, think he can, and maybe some still at House Hall think he can, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, and there's a comment here from Daniel that says, isn't this why they hired Kevin? Not Kevin Fishbane, but Kevin Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the wild card in all this, right? Like, again, I'm going to say this probably a million times all week. Like, they're going to lose to the Chiefs, I would assume. But could they turn it around after that? Is there some world where they can be 3-3? Sure. There's also a world where they can be 0-6. And if you're 0-6, we don't know how Kevin Warren reacts to these situations. That's a new thing here.
Isn't that the other funny part about all this? Like, Kevin Warren didn't hire Ryan Poles or Matt Eberflus either. Like,
and they changed the structure of the organization after hiring Kevin Warren back to how it used to be, which was not how it was when they hired Ryan Poles.
How do we get to this point in the conversation, man?
Well, and it's only September 17th.
2 weeks in. Some wins fix everything. Some success from your quarterback will fix plenty of things, but it's not just like one game. It's like continuously seeing that over and over and over again. Not even like a 3-game stretch. More like complete turnaround.
This is where you need a Matt Patricia coach in the Lions game on your schedule next week to get right. Instead, you're going to Arrowhead to play the quarterback you should have drafted 6 years ago.
For a second there, I'm like, wait, Patricia? No, Dan Campbell's going to take out their kneecaps.
Well, right. But when Patricia was there, he would idiotically play man-to-man defense, right? And Mitch would be like, okay, touchdown. I know this, touchdown. All of a sudden, Mitch Trubisky turns into Johnny Unitas, right? Like, and then the next week they would play like the Saints and score 4 points. I don't know how you get to 4. A couple safeties, I guess, but nope. Go ahead and block Chris Jones next week.
Good luck.
Match up against Travis Kelce. If there's one silver lining, it's the Chiefs' offense does not look like the Chiefs' offense right now. But
they still have Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, they do. I think
He is the rising tide. I got that right. Except when some of those
Mahomes.
boats have holes in it and can't catch passes.
The early line that our producer Lawrence CHGO gave us was the Chiefs favored by 13.5.
Wow.
13.5.
Yeah, it sounds like a backdoor cover, but
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, I do want to give our voicemail number. I know we already got a ton in there, but if you'd like to call in, we always play the voicemails on Tuesday's show. It's 872-205-6022. If you'd like to grab one of those awesome hats and support the show, John's is wearing right now. There's also a gray one, and we got tons of new Hoge Jahns merch. We thank everybody at Obvious Shirts for setting this stuff up. HoganJahns.com. You can buy it directly from there now, which is awesome. New polos. There's sweatshirts up there. Of course, all our T-shirts as always, and then the hats are ready to go. So check it all out, HoganJahns.com. And, of course, our Twitter account as well, at Hoge Jahns. If you, we just started that a few weeks ago, and if you haven't hit us there, hit follow, go check it out. Please
I believe
do it.
you have some shirts to get, out there.
Well, when I have time to not break down,
This team.
this team, yeah, I was trying to be super nice there. The tape I don't want to watch tonight that I will. Yeah, I do. I think we got to give out 3. Hey, if you get us, how about this? Here's a challenge. We owe 3 free shirts right now. If we can get up to 3,500 Twitter followers, where I think we're less than 200 away from that, then I will knock out. We'll do 4. Yeah, we'll do all 4 then.
Okay.
So it's a little challenge.
Check out The Athletic probably Tuesday morning for a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Looking forward to reading it tomorrow.
All right, I'm excited for that. And I believe we have Diana Rossini coming in on Tuesday's show. So your voicemails, check in with Diana. She had some reporting, I know, on the Bears' whole situation this past week too. So excited for that. We'll have John's story will be out by then that we can look at as well. I'm excited to read that, theathletic.com/Hoge and Jahns. We are out of here. Johns, don't watch too much of the tape, okay?
Tell me the good parts. What are the good parts?
DJ Moore. DJ Moore went over 100 yards receiving.
Ooh.
DJ Moore went over 100 yards receiving. Rasheem Green played pretty solid.
He's the one who got the blocked field goal, right?
He had the blocked field goal. Special teams on point. Check out the special teams tape. I'll break that down for you. Do you want an exclusive story with me breaking down the special teams tape?
I get that like every week.
I'm trying to think of what else was good.
Roshan Johnson had a nice run.
Roshan's still
Toss
good. They
play to
don't
the
they don't
left.
give him
Did I
the
see that
ball
right?
enough. Yeah. Everybody's hurt. That's not good. Oh, Eddie Jackson, yeah, foot injury again.
Yeah, out with a foot injury. Darnell Mooney, what was his calf?
Knee, I think they
Knee?
said. He didn't return. And then shout out to Jaquan Brisker for coming back, finishing the game. But I don't know how you're dehydrated on, like, the first series of the game. I know it's hot, but unless he was battling something. But they didn't really make that clear. So I don't know. I think that should just be the theme of the season. Just, I don't know.
Who is USC playing next week?
Yeah.
I don't want to go there yet. Still don't. Still 15 more games to go.
USC Colorado in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
I might have to.
Let's just go cover that one.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, we could do a Hoge Jahns post game after USC Colorado.
In Boulder? Is it in Boulder?
I think that one might be in LA. No, I think it is in Colorado. That could be good. All right. Anyway, appreciate everybody being here. Please hit like, hit subscribe. Please rate and review the podcast if you're listening to this later as a pod. We appreciate you very, very much. HoganJahns.com, @HoganJahns on Twitter. We will talk to you on Tuesday.
See ya.